In 1860, the three richest states in America were Mississippi, Virginia, and South Carolina. Virginia had the highest enslaved population in America with nearly 500,000. Mississippi coming in at number 3 with over 436,000. And South Carolina at number 5 with just over 402,000. In 1860, nearly half of all white people, 49% in Mississippi, owned slaves. In South Carolina, that number was 46%. In Virginia, that number was 26%. In Georgia, that number was 37%. In Alabama, that number was 35%. In Florida, that number was 34%. And in Louisiana, that number was 29%. In 1860, enslaved Africans were the largest financial assets in America, worth more than all of U.S. manufacturing, railroads, and other industries combined. In 1860, Mississippi was the richest state and had the most millionaires per capita than any U.S. state. The city of Natchez in Mississippi was the city with the most millionaires per capita than any other U.S. city. And I haven't even brought up the white people that rented and leased slaves, by the way. So, Miss Jillian Michaels, your statement that slavery was only relegated to a small number of white people is propaganda, misinformation, damn, I might say, dishonest and bad faith. Slavery was everything to white people in the South. So much so, we're dealing with the effects of it today. There's a direct correlation between counties with a high enslaved population and anti-blackness. The counties that once used to have a high enslaved population are more likely to have increase in anti-black hate crimes, explicit and implicit anti-black racial bias, increased economic and political conservatism, systemic institutional barriers, and racial wealth gap. When you put it that way, it looks like it wasn't a minority of white people after all. Looks like white people really loved slavery and really participated in it.
Black History Museum was said to be overemphasizing black slavery and all that happened. So I decided to make this video because there's a lot of rhetoric that is going on that the number of people that were into that act was not really much. But when you say the number is not much, I saw you guys saying it's just about 1.4%. And the question is 1.4% times the total number of America or of a state or of a region is in hundreds of thousands. And I'm here today to break down the figures of it because I'm going to show you guys the numbers, the exact numbers of black people that we have that were owned and bought by people to serve them. So we're going to be seeing that in this video, and we'll know the states, the people in the region that were actually into that. Then we can begin the conversation from there because every number matters. I'll be right back, guys. Don't go nowhere. Credits are given to every content in this video. And of course, if today is your first time of coming across my channel, do it to subscribe, like, and share. If you love this good content, I'll be right back.
So guys, I was today years old when I found out that less than 10% of white folks own slaves. That's right, baby. They want us to believe that all white people were slave owners and they all hate black folks and no, we cannot come together. But it's just not true. The history shows that less than 10%, in fact, 8% of white folks own slaves. And that is basically comparing that to the 1% of wealthy people now and 33% in the South. So, you know, that is what it is. But at the end of the day, if we want to continue to repeat this narrative, let's just go ahead and get the history correct, including the fact that they're not the only ones that own slaves. Okay?
White people, why is it that y'all don't like hearing about all the horrific things white people did during slavery and after slavery? Does it make you feel some sort of way? I just want to know.
All right, so in 1860, I want you to guess how many white individuals owned slaves. Like what percentage of white people in the U.S. owned slaves? I'll give you 5 seconds. Across the entire white population in the U.S. in 1860, 1.4% of individuals owned slaves. And I find this interesting because I rarely hear anybody talk about this. In other words, 98.5 to 98.6 out of every 100 white people did not own slaves. So my question to many Black Americans is, why do we continue to act like it was 100% of white people who owned slaves and all white people are responsible for it? Like, you'll see many Black Americans that love to talk about this history and get all, and they don't want to tell you this and they don't want to tell you that, but these same people conveniently leave out that the vast majority of white people did not have slaves. On top of that, many Black Americans act like there was not a civil war fought over slavery. The Civil War was fought over slavery. And over 300,000 male white Union soldiers died in this war. So in essence, there were whites who were fighting to keep us enslaved, and there were whites who were fighting to free us. But it seems like most Black Americans only tend to want to focus on the white Americans who wanted to enslave us. And they treat all white Americans as if they're part of that group, when the reality is clearly they're not and they weren't. Again, only like 1.4 to 1.5% of white individuals in 1860 owned slaves. So again, my 2 questions as of right now would be, why are we acting like all white people owned slaves and supported people owning slaves? And the other question is, why do we act as if there was not a civil war fought by white people to free us from being slaves? It's like many of us only want to focus on the side that was doing wrong and not the side that did right. And I think this is important clarity that's not talked about enough. Like, too many of us walk around acting like this was something all white people were doing. It wasn't. So acting like this was all white people is representing a skewed, inaccurate version of history. And many Black Americans somewhat base some of their feelings of white people based off of this skewed, inaccurate representation of history. And I think the more we can bring to light the reality of this can work to help alleviate some of the frustration that Black Americans have with white people, which I think overall would be beneficial. But then the next thing on top of this is it's about time to move on. Like, at some point, we have to move on. Like, if many Black people spent more time focused on bettering themselves and putting themselves in a better situation compared to talking about racism and white people and complaining about the past, many of us would be far better off. That's just the truth. A lot of that mental energy could go to something much more productive for you and your family and society as a whole.
Cutting off your empathy on purpose has consequences. Exactly. That's the main reason why I think white people are generationally traumatized from slavery. The vast majority of human beings have empathy, share in the human condition with one another, and to have to disregard that empathy is incredibly traumatic. And the trauma response, I believe, is acting like it didn't happen, is downplaying it to the point of non-existence. And it is the almost endless levels of dehumanization that went into American chattel slavery, that went into American capitalism. Imagine you have empathy and your taxpayer-funded newspaper that's delivered to your front door every day has a list of the neighborhood lynchings that will be happening. Then you turn around and you go to church and you've got Suzanne Q talking in the background about how her and her kids are so excited they're packing a picnic with coleslaw for this week's lynchings. It is traumatic to watch human beings be treated as cattle when you know that they're human beings. That level of dehumanization embedded into every single aspect of American lives for generations, like up until now, we're going on, 250 something odd years of that level of dehumanization of non-white people. Of course that's traumatizing. And white Americans varied in their activity level, right? Not everybody owned another human being. But all white Americans were participants in that system, just like all Black Americans were participants in that system. Are all traumas equivalent? Are they the same? No, say it with me now. Not all traumas are the same. But white America really struggles with their history with slavery. And I think that that is a trauma response to all of the dehumanizing that they had to do in order to perpetuate it.
This is what I don't like. When you try to play down on the emotional trauma that people went through at their time. Do you know what it means to be a slave under and also under some set of people? Do you know what the person goes through? You don't have a voice of your own. You can't, okay, let me break it down. You can't wear the clothes that you want. You don't have the time of your own. If you want to go do something else and your master calls you, hey, leave that thing. Don't do that. Come and do this. If you want to go to sleep, you want to go to bed, and your master calls you and says, no, you can't sleep now. come and cut my nails, or come and cook my food, even when you've done all of that before. Or your master says, come wash my clothes. Come. You are not in control of your time. And guess what? You can't even eat the things that you want to eat. It is what you are given you will eat. And if you go outside of that rule, you know what happens to you. When someone try to say that, oh, the number is less, is this, is that, I'm sure you've watched the video. I put those two videos together so you can see the numbers and you can see what the other person is saying, that it does not really matter, that the numbers were not much and all that. That is just 1.4%. 1.4%. It's quite a large number. If I say 1.4% of 200 million, that's over 200,000. Is that a small number? For people that are grown-ups, that are meant to be mothers, fathers, or grandfathers, are held bound in chains and some of them naked, some of them having no life of theirs, and you're saying that number is not much. I mean, the truth is, America fought to end the slave trade, but don't make of non-effect, don't downsize the trauma, the history, the pain that the people went through. All because you have no idea of what it is, because your forefathers have gone through it, and now you are liberated, you are exposed, you are learned, you've gone to school. But hey, some people fought for that. What you are enjoying, and some people fought for it, some people paid for that with their life. And don't come and tell me bullshit that it does not really matter. You should just, knowing fully well that you are a black person and you are saying trash. I understand that everybody should move on, and that is what I agree with. But don't say that people should leave that, or as a palm colored person, you are saying that having a museum where black history is taught is overemphasized. Is this? Don't say that. Let's all admit that happened, and that's where we are, and everybody is moving on. A lot of people are trying to put their life back together to just see that they turn out good and turn out well in life, which is good, and that's what I also emphasize. But don't say that those history should be forgotten. Don't downplay on it. Don't make it look as if it's minor things. It's a minor thing. No, it's not minor. People went through that. People suffered for that. People went through pain and trauma. Now you are here. You're having a good time, and you are saying, come on, don't say that, man. Guys, what is your take? What is your perception on this? I mean, this story is actually trending, and I decided to bring it to you guys so that you can have a feel, you can have a say in all of this. So, guys, let the conversation begin. Like I always say, let the conversation begin. Let me know your view, your perception, what you feel about this whole thing. I agree so well that people should move on. People are moving, people are doing well. Are you also aware that the body language of this present administration is also saying that, hey, those guys should be where they are and they are better. All sort of things are happening. And that is why it's difficult to let go of those memories, of those things that our forefathers have gone through. And you are saying that you should let it go. When the story around the body language of the people in leadership right now is still that. It's still pointing to those things that they went through. And it's like, to let go is quite difficult. But hey, we've got to let go, but don't downplay. Don't make it look like it is nothing. Hey, it's a lot of things. And that is where I belong. Guys, thank you for watching. Thank you for staying tuned. Let me know your view and perception in the comment section. Let the conversation begin. Of course, if you love this great content, do it to subscribe, like, and share, and turn on your notification button so you can get updates whenever I post videos like this. Thank you guys for all the likes and love and the subscribe. I just hit 3,000 subscribers a few minutes ago. And I want to say thank you guys for always liking and subscribing to the channel. Cheers, guys. Stay in peace, stay in love, avoid trouble. Bye for now.